It's still 7:01, we'll call it welcome to the assembled masses. As you know, you're welcome to address the board if you would like, but if not, we will move ahead to the agenda.
And no one indicate?
Okay. Student representative report.
Oh, wow.
You can read Danielle.
That was fast. All right. So today's great. APs are done for me, so I'm very happy. So I'm in a good mood. So my first thing on my report is about the graphic design trip to Sticker Mule. Of course, I'm a part of the graphic design class, and on sometime in April, I don't have the date down here for some reason, but we went to a company in Amsterdam called Sticker Mule. They cut out custom stickers for people, and it's one of like the largest growing internet companies, and it was like really cool. We got to take a tour of the factory. They were like incredibly helpful and nice, and showed us like all the job opportunities in our community, like that not many people would actually think about. And all of us even got our own custom stickers, 100 of our stickers. I forgot I was gonna bring some samples, but I completely forgot. But they were really, really cool. If you go out and look at my car, I have one of my stickers on the back of my car. But it was just a great experience and truly showed people like that there are actually opportunities in our local area. And I don't think it could have, I would feel the same way about like companies in the community if we hadn't gone on this trip. So then my only issue this week was the scheduling of the AP bubble sheets. Like I understand it can be difficult to schedule things around everybody's busy schedules, but the way that the AP bubble sheets were done, I know it's been in the past too, but as well as this year, it just doesn't seem to be working out very well. Because I know personally that day was the day that seniors were scheduled to fill out AP bubble sheets. I wasn't able to go because I had a CSI lesson that I had scheduled like in November, I think, November or October. So, I mean, I understand that it worked out for a lot of other people, but there were anybody in that CSI class and anybody else in important clubs like that where it's very hard to miss a meeting like that because CSI does count as a grade and it is a class. I do have like a couple of ideas for solutions for that. One would be like polling the people and seeing like a few weeks before and seeing what days work well for them, as well as Mrs. Lenz and anybody else who would need to be there. Another thing is offer like a few more days and maybe smaller groups and have people be able to like sign up. But other than that, I mean, it works out okay. It's just I think there could be a better solution to the AP bubble sheet thing because it's very time consuming and takes a lot out of the day. So yeah, that's all I've got.
Any questions or comments? Okay, thank you. The next thing is the school safety officer report.
You have it in front of you. It's a continuation of many of the activities of the first report that was offered a couple of weeks ago. So there's continued hallway presence and building presence, continued support to principals with various school-related concerns. So again, these are things that we address on a regular basis. However, with the school safety officer, it's another point of resource and support. So for example, some things are the vape pen use that's seeing a little bit of resurgence right now, recess support, and some reported incidences of bullying. So that's really nice. Officer Peruzzi has continued his exterior building patrols and student parking lot patrol. He has done classroom visits. I tallied 8 at all different buildings in the past 2 weeks. So this isn't total, this is just since the last report. Some of them involved snack time, which I thought was a very good time to go visit a classroom. I do know that he, yesterday, I believe, was in one of our first grade classes deputizing the students as junior police officers. So just so you know, he now has his own patrol posse at East Hill, at least in one class. And one of the things that has been helpful is, as Officer Peruzzi has been around the district, he has identified some ideas for safety upgrades. So I'll just give you one. One of the things that we were talking about was, we have paved the path between here and the East Hill Middle Complex for a variety of reasons. Most importantly is that kids use that path all year round. So now we can keep it safe for them. In the event of an emergency, that also is a path for a vehicle. It is right now, to keep all vehicles from being on it, there's a pretty hefty wire that's between it. Well, one of his suggestions was, is there a different thing we can do or something different so that in the event of emergency and he had to get his car from one location to the other, it wouldn't stop the car from going through, because it's a pretty thick wire. So working with Mr. May, they have come up with a solution of something that will keep the general population from using the path as a road, but allow for emergency use if possible. And that's just an example.
Does that solution include allowing pedestrians to walk on the path, or do we still have to walk off and around?
Well, there
It
is
didn't
a,
make sense to me
there's a
as a
side,
pedestrian.
right, but there's a sidewalk, there's sidewalks that connect for the path. So you can get on the path without going through the end. There's a sidewalk, so there's the path on the end, and then there's a little sidewalk entry right off to the side of both ends.
Okay, I'll have to look at it again.
Yes.
Walking to the football fields, it seemed like you had to walk around the posts.
No, right to the left of the post on that end, there's a little sidewalk.
Must be I walked it the other way.
And then at this end, it's on the right side of the post. So it depends on your, how you enter and go, yeah.
Any other questions or comments? I have a question.
Yes.
Here it says that he has helped to support principals with incidents of bullying. I was just wondering how that works.
I'm not sure which building that was. A reported incident?
I know that he talked to me about a student who just approached him, almost
Okay.
more like about advice, that was having an issue with another student. I'm not sure I would have identified it as bullying per
that's-
se, but just an incident that, you know, almost like advice, just how to sort of mediate with another student.
A student in my building shared an incident with him and he brought it to my attention. So I don't know if he was close by and they felt the need to share it with him versus coming to me. It's a student who I've talked to a bunch before. But it seems like the students, at least in the middle school, are very eager to talk to him and engage with him, whether it's, about police work or about hobbies or anything else. So I mean, it's been, I think at the beginning, there was a little hesitation in the middle school just of seeing this new face and new person in the building, but very quickly, especially the sixth graders have opened up and started talking to him very, very freely.
Anything else?
We've seen that word a couple times now, and it elicits a certain reaction, I think, from some of us, bullying.
Right.
So, I would, if there really are incidents of bullying going on, I would want to know more about that.
Right, that was his word off his report, so
Yeah.
we could tap into that more. I mean, if it's a conversation with someone that's then reported to be taken care of, that happens every day though, so.
Okay, anything else? Next thing is the superintendent's evaluation timeline. We just have to kind of go over what we would like, what timeline we would like to have. Just to remind you of what the process is that we agreed on last year. The first step will be superintendent self-evaluation. Then we've chosen to use the NISBA evaluation, template. So we will have a meeting where we will go through that template and assess the superintendent performance using that template. And then we will have a meeting, executive meeting with the superintendent to go over the results. Once they're compiled and we have a agreed upon, probably have to have one other meeting to agree on because you don't have individual reports, you have just a uniform report that's a consensus of the group. And then we would have a meeting with Ms. Scrimshaw. So, what I would like to propose is that we ask Mrs. Grimshaw to produce the self-evaluation by August 1st. This is just a proposal, I want to get your all feedback. And then at some point during August, we can have a meeting to, to go through our analysis. And then in September, we can have a meeting with Mrs. Grimshaw to, share our thoughts and have a dialogue about it. If that sounds, the floor is open for discussion about the timeline.
The only question I have with the timeline is there's some legality issues, I think, with when it has to be done. I can't remember those dates. Does that fit with
By
your
September 10th,
August
by
and
September 10th,
That's,
a template has to be submitted, not
Yeah,
even
yeah.
a filled out template.
all right.
We
have
already
that.
know the template, we could submit it now.
And the
Yeah,
actual
yeah.
evaluation is not due until March.
Is that what it, Mark, is that
Yes.
what it is? All
But
right, whatever it is, I was
my
thinking it was
feeling is,
September.
it's more productive to have it at the beginning of the year rather than wait till the middle of the year. So that would be
Yeah, yeah.
my suggestion.
The only thing I would say about the timeline is, last time, what we did was we had the superintendent's self-evaluation as input to us individually, so that then we could go through and rate, understanding what you saw of each of those things. So if we do that August 1st, then we would all individually rate it. That would take some time. Then we would have to get together to compile that information, and then we would have to get together to agree on what we put in that instrument, so the final version. I just don't know if we can do that in 6 weeks with the summer. I don't know. That's my only concern.
That's a good point. Should we back it up a month?
That's,
No.
we're here to discuss it.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe in July. Even that's kind of difficult, that,
Well, maybe we could do it by October then, rather than September. And in September, we would do the assembling and the unification.
Yeah, maybe something like that. Because I think realistically, even if all of us do our input right away, which sometimes is a little bit of a problem, hopefully we can fix that, but, we're probably gonna need 4 weeks-ish for us to all give our input, compile it, and then put
Summarize.
together our summary of it, would be my thought, because that's gonna be a significant amount of time.
Okay, so we'll just move it back a month, and the goal of having it by October,
Okay.
having the meeting by October, was August 1st, okay? So then we'll go ahead and have the assembling it all in September, and then we'll meet with Mrs. Grimshaw in October to share it and to discuss it.
I mean, we can clearly work on it in August, I'm just not sure we'd have it done by the end of August, that's.
All right, so is that a rough timeline, and we'll
Yeah.
figure out the exact dates? Okay. very good.
The other thing I think we need to point out from our training is a reminder that exiting board members will be involved in that process, and are committed to that, because they have the history.
I already gave it the minutes.
Okay, perfect. And then new board members, we would expect to participate so that you become familiar with the process.
Okay. All righty. Next thing is consent approvals. And I have a motion.
I'll make a motion for items A through H to be a consent approval.
Is that good, Patty?
I can't do that, I was here.
All right, so,
B through H?
yep.
B through H.
Minutes.
So motion been made and second for consent approval on B through H. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So we'll take minutes separately first. And any questions or comments on the April 12th minutes?
We need, wait,
Huh?
we need a motion for the minutes.
Oh, okay, sorry. Motion
make
for the
motion.
minutes. Second?
Second.
Okay.
These are the April 12th ones.
Right.
Okay.
Can we do all three together?
No, because Cheryl.
All right, okay, we'll do each thing, very good. Okay, so the April 12th minutes, any questions or comments about that?
There's just a typo at the top with Dr. Dawson.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Anyone else on April 12th? Just another point, the EPC incentive aid paragraph, there's some incomplete sentences and stuff, it just needs to be sharpened up a little bit. If you need, I can point it out to you.
No, we're good.
But if you read it, I don't think you need my okay, then we have the April 25th minutes,
You
which
need
is
to
the.
vote on the
vote on
April
this one.
12th meeting.
I have a motion and second on the April 12th. Do I, all in favor?
Aye,
Opposed?
with the friendly
Right, with
amendments, right?
Corrections.
Thank
With
you.
the corrections, right. April 25th, that was the BOCES vote. Any question, do I have a motion?
A motion?
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, any questions, comments on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, then the April 26th minutes. I have a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Any questions, comments on that one? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All righty, that's.
Abstain.
Oh, abstain, sorry. Okay, next up is the budget transfer schedule. Any questions or comments on that one? Okay, how about bills? Any questions or comments on that?
I had one, I'm sorry I didn't get it to you beforehand with my question, but it was the number, it's on the federal funds. Sorry. 3661,
Yep, OESJ.
right.
That is part of our P-TECH grant. We
Oh,
pay,
okay.
yeah, that's through that grant. They
Okay.
contract with OESJ to provide tech services to
Okay.
the P-TECH school.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I have two. One is on the first report from 324 to 46, number 55031, South Colony Central School. $2,100.
Those are for out-of-district, well, our students, but they're going to private school in that district. So we have to pay for part of their health services.
Yeah.
And my other question is on the 47 to 420, on the 55064, what is fun and function? Never heard that one before.
I think those are things we bought, a special education teacher finds the best sensory items, wiggly cushions, fidgets, and.
Fun.
Yes.
Function.
And function, all the above.
Okay, I just have never seen that before, so.
It's a new vendor, I believe.
Okay.
We're very pleased with what's come through.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Treasurer's report. Any questions or comments on that? And I promise I did not do any math on this one.
The only thing that I would ask is, did we put a timeline on when we would look at different investment?
Yeah, after the budget vote.
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't
That would be
remember.
Tuesday.
Couldn't remember.
Okay, anyone have any questions or comments? I have a couple. One is the general fund. We received $13,000 from Montgomery County CPSE. And I was just wondering why we're receiving.
They give us back a portion of our CPSC person. It's an amount set at a state, so as long as we do the paperwork, we get that back from the
is helping to pay for
Yeah.
that person.
It's how the structure of paying for preschool special education is set up. It's, the county has a responsibility.
I'm sure it's been there before, I just noticed it.
Yep.
It's just once a year,
Yeah,
so that's why.
And I know I've heard this in the past, but I'm gonna ask it again anyhow. Could you explain the general fund reciprocal account? I
Yeah,
know
that-
that we've gone through this before, but, I'm getting older.
That was, money we put aside in a special account, for MBT to use in a different way that they can't use our other money. Kind of helps them out, it gives us a little bit higher interest rate on that money. So that could be one option for us, put more money in there to see if we get more interest. And then just keep transferring money around, so it could help us. But that was something we set up a couple of years ago to help them and us.
Thank you. Anything else, anyone? Okay, flexible spending account plan. Questions?
It says it's amended. Can I ask what the amendment was?
Yeah, the amount changed, the maximum that people can contribute to their flexible spending account went up to $2,650, so that's what was changed, and, we're allowed to roll over $500 into the next year every January. If you don't use it in December, you can roll over 500, so that language was changed.
So it's not truly a use it or lose it anymore.
2,650.
So it's not truly a use it or lose it anymore.
No. $500. Oh, really? Or maybe they changed it back.
Anything else on flexible? Okay, textbook adoption.
Mark, could I ask one more question?
Yeah, go ahead.
What's our typical default that's been from participants previously? Do we have a balance left over at the end that they haven't used?
It's really hard to tell, because of the rolling amounts, and the years not matching up, with the school year and the plan year.
But it would match up with the tax year though, so we should know what that amount is.
I would have to get that from MVP.
Okay. And what have we done with that leftover amount in the past?
I've done nothing with it.
So you've just left it in the account?
Yeah.
Okay. Because those would be ramifications of the rollover change, that's why I was asking.
Yeah, MVP would have to give me that information, because I don't know what everybody's balances are, or whose balance were used.
I wasn't really worried about who's, just usually at the end of the year, unused funds, I forget what the date is, March 30th, I think it ends, or something like that.
Yeah,
Is
for
the last
prior
time to
year.
claim for the prior year.
Right, but now we have this rollover amount too, so.
Right, so last year, we would know how much money was left in that account. And that is left to the employer under the old tax
Right.
rules. So now that wouldn't be left, that's why I was asking what we've done with it.
Yeah, it's just there,
Okay.
yeah.
So it's really no impact on us then, if the money's been left there anyway.
Does that mean the person loses that money if they don't use it? It's use it or lose it?
Yes.
Until now.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the federal in the past.
Okay, moving along to F, textbook adoption. Now, I know this looks like just a dry old textbook adoption, but we have a surprise for you.
It's not dry, no. The reason essentially we're doing an adoption is because for the last 6 or 7 years, we've used a textbook from McGraw-Hill Glencoe, which has basically been a standard, life science textbook. We looked at their updated version, which was released about 1.5 years ago, and it's really just an updated version of the same old book. They do have some digital licenses that come along with it. The online content is essentially just a web version of the book with a couple links incorporated with it. When Ms. Bowerman saw that, she was kind of dissatisfied, so we reached out to Pearson Prentice Hall to look at their new Elevate Science series. They sent us a digital subscription as well as a teacher and student textbook. The Pearson Prentice Hall Elevate Science book is a much more I consider it more of a hybrid learning book. It has a very rich online content. There's online tutorials, web links, online activities, there's quizzes they can take online, there's supplemental materials from the book that also links to the online content. There's project-based learning activities in the online content. One of the other biggest changes with this textbook is it's Pearson Prentice Hall is starting to experiment with what they call a consumable textbook. So we actually aren't buying 70 textbooks. We're buying 6 years of 70 textbooks. So they send us 70 textbooks every year for 6 years. And they're a paperback student consumable edition. So basically kids can highlight, annotate, mark in them, take notes in them, interact with them. And at the end of the year, they can take them with them if they want. And then we get a new 70 at the end of the year. So it's something that they're just starting. It's really our first opportunity to experiment with it. In terms of, and that also includes the price out there, also includes the digital subscription for 6 years. So each year that 7th grade student with their consumable textbook will also have a digital license that will partner with our one-to-one initiative where they can go home with not only their paperback consumable textbook, but now also this online web-enabled content.
Any questions?
Yeah, is that aidable as a consumable, as a textbook? It's
Yeah.
considered, they call it.
It's a textbook.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
It's
That sounds like a
essentially,
good
instead of a
idea.
hardcover textbook, it's almost, if you
Soft.
picture a softcover workbook,
Yeah.
as they would be called, so that's the new style of the textbook.
Yeah.
Price point wise, the Pearson Prentice Hall that we went with or hope to go with versus the McGraw-Hill, it was in pennies of each other.
Yeah.
And the web content was infinitely more comprehensive than the Pearson Prentice Hall.
I like the idea of the consumable. Plus you got the, several years.
We looked at, originally, one of the plans was we looked at doing just a class set of textbooks
Yeah.
with a digital license for web content for all students. That way there was a textbook in class, but when I left class, everything I needed, I could just carry with me. The price difference between getting 75 textbooks for every student or 30 textbooks and 75 digital subscriptions was like $9 per student different. So for less than $1,000, you can actually have both. So it really is, it wasn't the cost savings that we maybe looked for going in.
Is this only web tools, or are there, I'm thinking of the one-to-one initiative down the road, or are there components that actually can be loaded on the machine to be used without the web?
Everything is web-based at this point. Nothing, it doesn't come with a CD to be uploaded, so you are tethered to, internet access. But having the consumable textbook with you, some of that content will be duplicated between the textbook and the web.
And to access this, can it be connected into our learning management system, or do you have to go through Pearson's?
Students will go to Pearson's website and essentially have a login.
Is there any way to integrate that? I know a lot of textbooks are integrating to learning management systems now so that you can have a one-point sign-on for students.
I don't know if it would be able to link to Google or anything like that. I'd have to check.
That would be something long-term that you would want to be looking at, I think.
Anything else? Okay, next thing is the transportation requests. Anything particular about these?
They just weren't here by before the board meeting, the April board meeting. And there's nobody new or different, it's just our Amish friends.
So it's not new people to the district?
No, they just didn't get their paperwork to Harold before the last board meeting, so. Oh, there's one, Victory Christian Academy, they're going this year, so.
Go ahead.
Just having reviewed all the transportation policies, I know there are deadlines for this stuff, but I think we've been pretty considerate for all, right?
Right, because Harold doesn't have to add any extra runs. That's why it's April
Okay.
1st, so as he's getting, so they're already transporting students to those areas.
So no issues, doesn't cause us any pain.
No.
Anything else? Okay, the last one is HFM BOCES substitute list. Questions? Anything new, aside from the format?
The
which is-
format, yes, they've come
They
out
can
with.
divide everybody into 3 parts. What is this about?
It's a different format that BOCES is using, so. How we access the report for subs, so.
I'm surprised they can show us that.
So we can take business from one, female from the other, and is that?
It's,
So we just have to look at, we just have to look at the dates to see if anybody's.
Are these all new or?
no, everybody's incorporated. I have to, you have to run a report every day to find out who's new. And I have to do some more work on it. But this is everybody from April, because they didn't send us a report in April, and I was wondering why, because I went to this new format.
So there's just those few.
There's nobody is new on here, no. I don't know. I don't know why we do that.
I know, for example, for PE, we actually, the sub job is a PE male, PE either, so.
Oh,
that's
so
how the
maybe.
system draws.
Oh, okay, so,
So maybe there is some job-related
Yes.
rationale for that?
So that's like.
Sorry.
Although for some of it,
Yeah, I know, I don't know.
any other questions, comments? Okay, we've had a motion made and seconded for the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, thank you. Next point on the agenda is under all business is the district safety plan.
This is an update incorporating the suggestions from the last meeting and a couple of entries this afternoon that are highlighted. So this really just includes everything from the last meeting with all of the discussions.
I know. We'll take care of
Can you remind me where the background check stuff is? I just wanted to look at how that got reworded. Sorry.
The back, or the volunteer,
Building access, security, that's
there's,
right, isn't that where it is?
Under procedure,
Yeah.
secure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions or comments on the updated plan? You want to take a minute to read it?
I just want to
Anyone?
read this one section. How is the volunteer application form going with the legal review?
it's sitting on my desk, it came back from the.
So we got it back now?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I guess the one question I still have around the school volunteers is it going to be a different check that's done on those people than just a incidental visitor?
Yes,
Because we don't really, I think I guess if that's incorporated in the board policy regarding visitors in the school, is that where we worded it?
Right,
I'm trying to
well-
remember where we put
right,
that.
well, it isn't anywhere right
Okay.
now, so we need when the policy, that's one of the
Is that what
policies.
we're gonna do in the next
Yes.
meeting? Okay.
So the policy for visitors in the school needs to be revised to incorporate the school volunteers, because right
Okay.
now, the only language is related to visitors in the school.
Okay,
So we need to add that.
gotcha. So it's incorporated in that action.
Yes,
I got
it's
it.
going to be in that
Okay.
action, and that will then dictate the rest of how.
Yeah, I just
the
wanted to make
procedures
sure
go.
that wasn't missing, because I
Nope.
know we spent a lot of time talking about it.
Yes, it needs to be a board policy,
Okay.
revision.
I'm probably reading this wrong, under facility safety, in the new highlighted part, after the start of the school day, all main entrance doors are locked until 3 p.m. After students, is it supposed to be entered?
No, exit, now after 3 p.m. after they leave, and go home. So we open the doors back up after 3 o'clock, after the students exit the
After the
building.
student, the middle school entrance is locked at 3:30,
Right,
and all visitors enter East Hill Middle School.
yes.
Yeah, there's some typo.
Oh, after student, yeah, that doesn't, after students exit the buildings, that should have.
We can reword that part.
Yeah,
for
that
clarity.
has to be,
Okay.
yeah, that has to be.
What-
there.
what is
And
the-
then the last, and locked at 3 p.m.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
because
you know
it's
what?
just-
Um,
just-
Yeah.
unlock you, this part, you can
Yes,
come out.
Is-
yes.
Is the intent that East Hill stays open until, no, I'm sorry.
No, East
Middle school stays
stays
open
open
until
till
3:30 and the
3:30,
rest
yes.
all lock at 3?
Yes, and when that and locked at 3 needs to come out of there, that's a, I lumped it there. I said.
Okay.
Yes, that
when I-
last hanging sentence, the
Okay.
hanging piece will come out. So what happens is the main entrances are locked after the students leave at 3 o'clock, then they're opened again, because people come in and out of the buildings. Middle school is open from 3 to 3:30, at 3:30 we lock the middle school entrance, and everybody goes to the main entrance at East Hill to enter the buildings.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll fix that. That was a last minute entrance.
Okay.
So we wanted to get something in there.
Any other questions, comments?
There's a typo,
All, did we do,
Did you find
motion
the
and
typo?
second? I don't
there's a
know.
typo under
Okay.
visitor access. Just because it's a visitor one, I thought you should know.
Did we do motion and second on that?
This is
No,
visitors
it's
are
under-
accepted,
no,
it should be
no,
This
expected.
isn't under approval.
It's not under approval.
So this was just the second
Oh,
go around
yes.
to see if
Yeah,
there
yeah.
was any other additions or anything that you would like us to incorporate before we give it the cleanup and all the go through.
There is a typo in here.
Okay, we'll find
Under
it.
visitor access, third sentence,
Okay,
visitors are expected is what it should be instead
Okay.
of accepted.
okay.
Yeah, might get picked up
Thank
on
you.
Yeah, that won't get picked up.
No, we haven't done we haven't done that kind, we haven't done the edit read, the line by line edit read yet. But thank you, that'll be one we'll already have done.
Okay, anything else on the safety plan at this point? Alrighty, mental health education.
Oh, okay. This was a follow-up from the last meeting that we had regarding the new state ed requirement. You have two, one that just came out yesterday, so we just added it today, around mental health education literacy in schools. So it's the second pamphlet, the first pamphlet we had posted earlier. So the requirement is taking effect July of this year. The timeline is that today we had an informational memo, which really is an informational PowerPoint from State Ed about what to expect in this area. Our own timeline that we had talked about administratively was to wait until July for the bulk of the work, for the instructional guide and resource documents that are going to be released from SED. So this is to be put in effect in September, so this summer we'll have an opportunity to do that. So this summer, then, there'll be the curriculum adjustments based on the release SED instructional guide and resource documents. Elementary will be addressed by a representative work group. Secondary will be worked on by the health folks and incorporated into the existing health curriculum. The folks who are leading this charge are the building principals and the pupil personnel services team. And so the second mental health initiatives, health education literacy in school PowerPoint has a lot of really good information. One of the pieces that you might want to refer to is slide 12 of 14. Can you go to the other document and flip to 12 of 14, please? Because it talks about what schools can do now. So we're already doing some of the things that are on that list from 12 to 14, including looking at health education curriculum, looking at, well, we already have this one done, recommended to build capacity and strengthen relationships between educators and pupil personnel services workers. We feel we are well advanced on that one at this point. We already have great school community partnerships with mental health professionals and organizations. So some of those things we already have in place. The interesting pieces that we can add are to look at strategies to engage families and students in supporting mental health and well-being. Through our work at all buildings, we are working on a positive school climate and culture, so that would look like conscious discipline, middle school 2.0, the STAR program. And when we talk about leveraging partnerships and building upon existing resources, we are doing that not only as a district, but as a district with all other school districts in Montgomery County. And you've heard me talk about our high threat incident meetings that we have at the county level with the superintendents and all law enforcement. We have now expanded that group to include social services and mental health. So we are trying to address that not only on an individual basis, but on a countywide basis. So the good news in what the schools can do now, we're doing many of the things on here. We will be anxiously awaiting the instructional resource guide from State Ed. And sometimes it is a hurry up and wait. So we'll be waiting and ready to roll as soon as we have that information.
So, since this is a curriculum change, are we gonna run this through our new curriculum process?
As soon as we have to run something through, yep.
Yeah, no, I'm just
Yep.
asking,
Yes,
I think it'd
yes.
be a good test
It
drive,
would be a
right?
great
Because
test
it's all
drive.
legally required,
It's all
but
legally required, we
we
have
kinda
to do the
work
run,
that
yes,
through.
yeah. Yes, and it will be a good test, but again, it'll be a summertime thing, it'll be a hurry up, wait, and then hurry up again.
Anything else? There's one thing on page 10 of the SED handout. They have additional resources. The second one was really fascinating to me, and I thought it would be something that we should definitely look into in developing our program, because it talks about school-community relationships. There might be some ideas in there that we might not otherwise have thought of, so.
We will do that.
Anything else? Nope. Lead testing. Do you have that information?
Do you have that information? We got the results back, all but 4 of the 24, maybe, my brain's gonna lose that number, cleared. So we have 4 faucets that haven't cleared. So the next step with the basic remediation, so the next step is that they're gonna replace the entire faucet, like everything, and Gary's hoping to do that by the end of this month, and then have it retested in early June, so that we're down to 4.
Was it all in the same building, do you remember?
I don't remember, and I thought I had it in here, and I don't. I apologize, I did not bring it with me, but I don't now know where it is. So I will put it in my notes tomorrow, okay? But I can tell you, all but 4. So that's gonna be an entire fixture replacement. So that's that update.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, can I have a motion to move into executive session?
Don't we need to adopt?
No, those are just.
Oh, we already did that, sorry.
I'll make a motion to go into executive.
Okay.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we need, Jen, we need you to stay, and Stacy, I need you to stay. All else, go away, go away. 5 minute recess.